I've written about this, but I've never made a video about it, and I think the time has come, and I'd like to tell the story, not the story so much, but just about overdosing on ephedrine in 1999. And you'd be able to buy ephedrine at the gas station, and you didn't think it was a real drug because you could get it at the gas station, and it came in a little packet with a little trucker on it, a cowboy hat giving you the thumbs up, and you're like, well, this can't be that hardcore. And so I was drunk and I ate a whole bunch of them. For some reason, I was able to sleep anyway. I woke up the next day and my girlfriend at the time and I went to a Chinese restaurant. And I took one bite of this food, and maybe it was the MSG or something, but whatever it was, all of a sudden the latent effects of this ephedrine were released. And I started having a serious medical situation episode. And I I knew I said I have to go to the hospital. It's not even a joke. And so my girlfriend gave me a ride to the hospital. And I just it's the story is not so much about the events. They're pretty much all the same. But when I got to the hospital and they hooked me up to the machines, and I'm on the steel table, and my tunnel vision, I started getting tunnel vision, and my hearing starts fading, and I start getting real narrow. And every time that happened, the alarms on the machine started going off, and the medical personnel would start trying to save my life. And I knew I was going to die. I was dying. And it didn't strike me as something, I didn't want to go out clinging to whatever it was that I thought I was doing. I said, if I'm going to go out, I'm not going to go out with flashing devil horns and saying, I'm on a highway to hell, rock and roll will never die, or whatever. And so I started repenting openly, out loud, and just started apologizing to Jesus. Point blank. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, I'm sorry. And I believe it's the only thing that saved my life. And I believe, even though I took a prayer, the so called sinner's prayer in 1991, it didn't change my life. And in fact, a couple of years after that, I started partying. And when my vision was going and my hearing was fading, I said, I'm going to start. I'm just going to repent. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to go out. And the last words on my mouth are going to be, "Lord Jesus, forgive me. I'm sorry." And I think it's the only reason. I said, if I had died that day, I would have gone to hell. And a lot of people, and I never really quite understood that. A lot of people, especially 30 plus years ago, you kind of get saved because you are aware that Jesus is God, but it doesn't change your life in any fundamental way at all. And nothing changes. I don't think it's true. I think it's something you have to do. Christianity is not a worldview. It's an actionable way of life. Faith without works is dead. And so I survived, and I still didn't quit drinking for another 15 years. Well, I don't. So it's. I just wanted to say it because this the story of it. There's more, detail about it, but at the end of the day, what separates us from the animals is sin. That's what separates us from the animals. It's not brains. It's not thumbs. Sin is the missing link. Sin is what the intent that people never put a bear on trial when a bear mauls somebody to death. They never in fact, sin is so heavy that we execute the animal extrajudicially without any trial. And there's nothing to put on trial. Nobody thinks there is. Our burden is so heavy that we execute the animals that kill us, but we don't call it murder. Murder, there's all kinds of, how many degrees of murder, first degree, second degree, manslaughter, and attempted this, all that. There's so many ways to do it because there are degrees of the intent is important. Animals are just, maybe they're hungry or you just got in their way or they're defending themselves. And it's not the same with us. We can commit maliciousness. We can hate each other. We can hate ourselves. We can damage things for the sake of damaging them. Animals don't do that. And Bill Hicks once misanthropically said that we are a virus with shoes, which is a loathsome way to believe. Without God, it's not about being a virus. It's about being created in the image of God and perverted by sin. Sin is in us. We are it. The animals don't have it. The plants don't have it. And until they hit the age of accountability, children aren't liable for it or culpable, whatever the word is. And nobody knows what the age of accountability exactly is. I've heard people say what they think it is. I think it's different for everybody. At some point, though, it's not, it becomes obvious. You're doing something wrong. You're stealing. You're hurting things. You're lying with malicious intent. And so I repented and I prayed to the Lord on the emergency room table. And I asked him to forgive me. I'm sure I did. I just apologized to him. I just said, I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was, Jesus, God, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. Something in that general vein. So anyway, that's all. Thanks for watching.